All right, let's talk about the eviction moratorium. That's where we're going to start the show today on the eviction moratorium, the eviction crisis, which is in full swing. And before I get into why I think it actually stinks, we just got some new job data out yesterday, and we're going to get more on Friday. And surprise, surprise, it's not good. Yeah, it turns out that people don't want a crappy $1 an hour raise while company profits are up 43%. Something's out of whack here. Imagine that. Dan Price, I like Dan Price's tweet here if I can pull this up. He tweeted, of course, Dan Price, you guys know who Dan Price is, right? He is the guy who, of course...
the tree hugger.
The tree hugger, right. He's the guy who increased salaries for his employees so that they could have a living wage. So everyone got a minimum wage of $70,000 in his company. Everyone told him he was crazy for that. Well, his profits soared. His business doubled. His employees were happy. All of that. Can't find the tweet, but he points out that, it's amazing that people don't want to take these crappy jobs for a $1 an hour raise when your corporate profits are through the roof and these CEOs are now making millions in golden parachute money and everything else. Of course they don't want these crappy jobs, these terrible working conditions where they're forced to work these long swing shifts, suicide shifts as we've seen, and not being paid for it or not being treated well. You go home to try to get a few hours of sleep, they need you right back again. They can't give you health benefits. On and on the list goes. So that's where we're at right now with the job issue. Right now we've got job data showing that this economy is not where it needs to be and that we still have millions of people that are unemployed. Add on top of that, we've still got a pandemic out there, which I don't know if you've noticed. And now we've got people facing homelessness and evictions. And it seems that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention actually, yes, they can issue another eviction moratorium because that's just what they did, of course. President Biden meant that this is what he meant when he announced the federal eviction moratorium. It wasn't going to be him necessarily, but he was pushing the CDC to do it. So we've gotten more details about this eviction moratorium now, and I'm going to tell you why particularly I'm not happy with this. Number one, the new moratorium is for 60 days only. Okay, 60 days only. So get your crap together, America. You got 60 days to pull it together. Hey, like if you're like this guy, you want to wind up like this guy without a home, you better somehow raise those thousands of dollars in back rent, okay?
What happened to October?
No, the new moratorium is for 60 days, okay? And it applies to counties with, get this, to substantial or high transmission rate of COVID. So to be clear, you have 60 days. To qualify, okay, a county must have at least 50 COVID cases per 10,000 people over a 7-day period. Can you imagine the bureaucratic nightmare to figure this out? Who picks this arbitrary number? So fortunately, though, at least over 80% of U.S. counties qualify. So, but wait a second. Let me understand this. Clayton, can you help me understand this? Sure, Clayton, I'll help you understand this.
Yes, please.
Only the counties that are currently experiencing high numbers of cases are then qualified to get to not be kicked out of your house. Okay. Well, what if your job is gone as a result of the pandemic and it happened months ago? Yeah, sorry, you don't qualify because your case numbers are now down. No problem. So you don't clearly have behind rent because you lost your job. Like, get your act together.
Well, and what happens if you work in a county, the business itself is in the county where it's affected, you lost your job, you're working remotely in your home in a county that doesn't have that?
You're asking ridiculous questions. Just shut up. Just shut up and take it, okay? This is what you've got.
Yay, thank you, Democrats.
Thank you, President Biden, for your really crappy eviction moratorium. And go out there and do a victory lap as people are being thrown out.
I just got a really quick question. How many hoops, like when the military is in there asking for their budget increases and stuff, like, is that by county too? Like how do they break that up and what kind of barriers do they create for them to get taken care of? Just out of curiosity, do we know that?
There's no restrictions.
What?
You just literally have to be an American senator for you to bring any kind of pork home for your state. That's it. There's nothing else. But if it benefits poor people, then there's all sorts of hoops and hurdles we have to jump through. But here's my favorite part of this new moratorium. Okay, again, it's a 60-day window. This is the part of the eviction moratorium that I love. We'll see if it has any teeth and if it would actually hold up in court. But the new moratorium would actually give out criminal penalties to landlords who evict people during this pandemic. They would also be fined $100,000 with up to 1 year in prison if the eviction does not result in death. This is literally in the language.
My gosh.
So you're going to be fined $100,000 with up to 1 year in prison if the eviction does not result in death. However, if they do die, like if you do kick your tenant out, right, they would be fined up to $250,000 if that person does in fact die. Okay, so you kick a tenant out, they're homeless, they end up, I don't know, contracting COVID or something else, they end up dying, you're fined $250,000. So that's what the CDC deems as like the worth of your life. $250,000.
Now, here they go. They are creating all of this, and I'm really curious, what is the application process for this like? Like, so not only do you have to apply now, but now you have to have people in the government that are actually going to have to go through this data to see if you apply. And it gives them so many loopholes to be like, sorry, you don't apply. We've only got 49 cases here.
Right.
So we
10,
apologize. Yeah.
Now, that person died of complications from COVID, but not actually COVID. Like they had congenital heart failure. So that person technically didn't die from COVID. So therefore, you can still be evicted from your house. See how these things go hand in hand? Makes no freaking sense whatsoever. Further
just solidifying my argument that if they would have done UBI from the beginning, people would not be having to do this crap. This is crap. I mean, this is it. It always just somehow doesn't go well for the people.
Oh yeah, that's why I said right off the top, and why we need additional stimulus right now. We have a jobs report that sucks. We have jobs that aren't coming back because businesses are gone. Okay, and we have still a raging pandemic. Cases are up across the country. Totally all across the country, cases are up now again. Once again, as we're heading into the fall, so we got a 60-day window here, 60-day window, and you're gonna get fined $250,000 if you kick a tenant out and they die of COVID. What a big slap on the wrist to those billion-dollar landlord companies, right? I mean, they're really going to be worried about this. This is like a risk-reward thing, right, for them. Oh, wait a minute. So, okay, we evict that person. We get fined $100,000 if we have to follow all of these loopholes. If this doesn't get thrown out by the Supreme Court, which is pro-business anyway.
Why don't they just preemptively count on Nancy Pelosi's tweet on the 61st day and just extend it beyond that? Right. You know what I mean?
Right. So September 31st rolls around. Oh, eviction moratorium time. She's like, I gotta get out my phone again. Here I go. I'm having my ice cream. Here we go. We should extend the eviction moratorium. We're not out of COVID just yet. Boom. Okay, I got to get to that fundraiser. I got to get to my fundraiser time now.
And you got to imagine they're like in Congress. They know this is coming. People are like, hey, the moratorium. Come on, we're focused on the infrastructure right now. We don't care about these people. Just leave me alone. I'm focused on this bill right now. But what are you working on? Well, I'm working on this. This corporate thing, it's just money for these corporations. Like, it's really important. They're pushing me. My donors are pushing me. I don't have time for the people right now. I'll get back to you soon. Okay, that ends tomorrow. I know. I just have not had time to get to that. I'm still doing my donor work. It's like we're just very last minute. At the last minute, they weren't even thinking about us. It took the next day for them to do something.
You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
That's your leader right there. So the same group of landlords that is challenging the moratorium with the Supreme Court, they filed an emergency motion yesterday asking a judge to ban this new moratorium. These billionaire landlords, they got their legal team already fired up, already filing a motion. They're supported by the National Association of Realtors, by the way. So they're asking you to overturn this thing. They say it's unconstitutional. They need their money.
You don't understand. We've already kicked people out of their houses. What are we going to do? It's going to make us look bad.
We've already started this process. Fortunately, the county that we're in doesn't qualify. So a couple of our tenants died. It's okay. No big deal. We don't get, we're not getting our hands slapped here with a $100,000 fine. What do you guys think of this? Drop me a comment below and like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that.
Well, and Donald Ford saying most landlords are not millionaires, and we understand that. But
we've talked about that at length here on the show.
Yeah.
Many of the landlords are. That's my point. My point is the people that have the legal authority and they're going to try to overturn this are dealing with this on a case by case basis. Most small landlords don't have the wherewithal to hire a big legal team to go and do this, and they're also not raking in billions of dollars like these big landlords that are complaining about it. I mean, again, I said yesterday on the show, stocks for these landlord companies on Wall Street are up almost 30% in profit this year. This year during the pandemic. Something out of whack here?
Well, and it's these the smaller landlords. That's exactly why we were saying there should have been a UBI from the very beginning, like all these other countries did, because then the landlords would not be in the position they're in. Because if the people would have got money, the landlords would have got money, these big corporations would have got money, everybody would have got money that needed it, but they keep trying to bypass the people who need it the most. And when they bypass the people, and a lot of times they're bypassing those renters that have one property. It's a couple who, decided we've got enough money to get a rental property to kind of pay our own mortgage. Let's do that. Those people as well. So that's why we've been arguing for a UBI and how that would have kept this from ever happening.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.